Alright, you masters, this is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today we're going to talk about my vision of the most durable bug bag one could make, or some ideas for it. But before we do that, if you're interested in detective stories, in the description will be a link to my book. It's the first one called Bloody Crosses, and if you're interested, just take a look. Durable bug bag. What do I mean by a durable bug bag? I mean by that bug out bag that you can that will help you for very long bug out routes. So if you do not have for a bug out location, that could be troublesome because you will have to get to a certain destination, or if you do not know, you have no idea how long or how far it will take to get to a safe place like a refugee camp, or to immigrate to another country as a refugee, or to till the government will get business in order to help all the victims of a certain disaster, the Red Cross, all those things. You have no idea perhaps when or where it shall be. So that's why I made this video. This is my idea about a bug out bag that will take you as long as far as possible. So what's my idea about it? First of all, if you have your bug out bag, I would advise, and this is something that is not often talked about, get your bug out jacket ready. Would I say that? If you have to leave in a hurry, like during Chernobyl, there was many people thought they would come back, but they never got back, so they left with the things that they could carry. And that is also the idea about today, because if I have a bug out scenario where I have to flee, I will take as much as possible. So I will usually I have my bug out bike, cards to it, so I can carry more stuff for very long distances. But in this case, we will focus on what you can carry as a person on foot. So we will probably make a video about the extras things that you can take, but now it's only the things you will carry on your body. And if you do not know how long it will take, perhaps you live in the summer, but you will be somewhere still stuck in the winter, I would say that is one of those things. I'm gonna put this a little bit up. I would say get your bug out jacket. In this case, my bug out jacket is a woolen trench coat. As you can see, it's a long coat, and I made a video about this already. It has several benefits. Like you can see, it will cover the legs, so you have more warmth even when you're walking with the bug out bag on your back. And it's made out of wool, so even when you get soaking wet, it will retain 80% of its heat. If you are a little bit more improvised, so if you have to stay somewhere and you have not really time to make a shelter, this is actually an improvised. It was during World War II used as an improvised sleeping bag, so that's also the reason why it's long, so it will even cover your legs. And as you can see, it can be very warm. Yeah, it's because I wear my thick clothing beneath it. So yeah, whatever. So you can see it's very warm. It will fit around anywhere, and it's still good enough to carry your bug out bag. As you can see, this one is a really big one, but that's mostly because there is food around it. That food will be depleted, and there are other ways you can make more room inside of this bug out bag. And if you're going to take a bug out bag, like you can see, make sure that it rests on your hips and not on your shoulders and on your back. Yeah, I know it looks kind of big, but there are some heavier things inside of it, but I have made it as light as possible with the things that are inside of it. So there's still wiggle room to put even more things inside of it. We'll take a check in that in a minute. So, and also, if you're going to walk inside in this, it does not look as flashy as one of those modern survival guys that you see, and that way people will not really think, oh, he got some good shit. If you have some old coat like an old how do you say this, woolen trench coat like this, people will not really bat an eye. They will think, why is grandpa wearing that thing? So yeah, as you can see, and it's warm enough to keep the wind a little bit out, and like I said, it's one of those materials that is actually kind of forgotten. And I know it's a little bit heavier, but that's one of the points. And one of the best things about this is this woolen trench coat. It's more durable. If I go into the woods and I will walk into thorns or some in the building with some glass, this is not easily cut. It is very durable material, and if you're going to sit next to a campfire, when you get sparks on top of your clothing, you will not be burnt. It will not burn through, and yeah, that's because that's a real problem in my opinion. These modern jackets, when you sit too close to the fire, it can melt because of the plastic fabrics that are made with it, and also if there's some sparks land on it, it can burn through. With wool, you do not have that problem. So I would advise, even though it does not really feel right, but it looks a little bit classy in my opinion. So that's just my personal taste, but it's more durable for a long-term scenario. And if it's winter and if it's summertime when it's too warm to carry this, you can open it up, roll it up, and wear it around yourself or your bug-out bag, like the Soviet soldiers did during World War II. You see those kind of torp-like things that they carry. That's actually this coat that they wear because it's a little bit too warm to carry it in the summertime. So a woolen coat is a first thing that I would advise to get together with your bug-out bag, because what's the point of a bug-out bag if you're going to freeze to death within a certain time? Next thing is durable footwear. Yeah, as you can see, now I wear my sports shoes, but during a bug-out I want this footwear, these boots that I can wear and have tested out, fit me well, because I have climbed mountains with this and they always got me through any hiking or survival situation. So good footwear is something that you do not need to underestimate. Now we're going to start with opening the bug-out bag. As you can see, this one is a huge one. And yeah, let's start with this thing. As you can see, this looks kind of bulky, but it is actually very, very light. What is it? I made a video about this. It's my reindeer pelt. Yeah, I put it together with this belt. But as you can see, this is a reindeer pelt. And why would I use this? Because if I'm going to make a shelter, this is the thing that I'm going to lie on top of it. The first side is where I lay on it. It's always very warm. It keeps me my body heat. It prevents it from being sucked out and put into the ground. So that's the first benefit. Other benefit is the other side, the non-fur side. That is kind of leathery and that is waterproof. So you are sitting dry and your body heat is not being conducted into the ground. So it's very isolation. And to be honest, it's very light, you would think, and it's more durable than one of those plastic blow-up mattresses that you can take. And like I said, this is about durable bug-out. And if it's very cold, you can still put this around you and be like a Viking warrior. So yeah, that's kind of also an improvisational thing that you can do. And if you have no money and you need to pay some way, this will be very valuable. So it can be used as a bartering item if you have no other option to get to somewhere safe. And yeah, that's something to think about if you're a vegan or someone from what is it called? Gaia, PETA, I don't know. Yeah, these things helped our ancestors to get where we are today. So yeah, pills are one of those things that are the best materials you can get. Next thing, as you can see, first of all, gloves. I always carry gloves on my bug-out bag for several reasons. First, if it's getting very windy, I need something to keep my fingers warm. If you're going to build a shelter or do anything like searching a building or building anything outside, you do not want to get your fingers cut or get blisters that could be infected, especially not during a long-term bug-out scenario. where probably there is no professional medical help. So keep your hands protected, because these things will get you through your bug out disaster. So yeah, um, gloves, very important. And as you can see, this thing around it, that is my great kilt. I've made a video about the great kilt. It's a woolen blanket of 5 meters long, and yeah, you can do so many things with this. You can make sleeping bags with it, a shelter with it, and like I said before, wool retains 80% of its body heat, even when it's soaking wet, and it's very durable. You can make a kilt from it to keep yourself warm, and in the summertime it's actually very cool if you use it in the right way. Another thing, you can use it as camouflage for hunting, or as a wind protection against wind, to keep you warm or keep protection from rain. So that's also the reason why I put this around this. And to be honest, for a 5 meters long woolen blanket, it's not really that heavy. It's a little bit big, but you can save space by wearing it like a kilt. I've shown this in the video about the great kilt, how I wear the great kilt and still carry my bug out bag around it with with every comfort that there is. So it's not really that big of a problem, but I always put it like this, just because it's handier to carry and make it as small as possible, especially with the belt. So now we have here the bug out bag. Let's open this sucker up. First of all, I always carry two metal bottles. Why metal bottles? Because you can put this on the campfire and boil the water. So you do not have to need another pot for that. And I always carry two, because one for food, one is more for food and for drinking and stay hydrated, and the other one is more for sanitation, cleaning my tools, sanitation, and cleaning hands, the body, field hygiene. So that's the reason why I like to separate those things, so my drinking water will not get contaminated if I go to clean something that is dirty. And always carry metal. And what I like about this metal bottle is, if you drop this will not really break. If you use plastic, there is a chance it will break, and or get melted if it's too close to the camping fire. So metal water-filled bottles are always the best option in my opinion. This is something that I put around it. This is some nylon wire. This is a lot of nylon wire. Why? Because this is very light, strong, and can be used to build a shelter. And also it can be used to patch up with if you can see, some needles to sew something. So that's always handy to repair clothing, your shelter and such. So that's always a very handy option. I'm going to open it now. Or let's start from the bottom. In the bottom we have some working gloves, and we have a tarp. This is one of those lightweight tarps, and I always use this in combination with my sleeping bag hammock. So as long as I got something like 2 trees, I can use this to make a shelter anywhere with a tarp above it, so it will stay dry, and this will keep me off the ground even, and so my body heat will not get sucked into the ground. And it's really easy to set up, in my opinion, more easier than a tent that you can take, and it weighs almost nothing. It's a little bit more volume, but it's very, very light, and it's very easy to set up and very handy in use. And you can put it almost anywhere. Of course, don't forget your tent herrings for the setting up the tarp. A rain poncho. I always like to use one of those military rain ponchos that go over your whole body. Why not a jacket, one would say? Because I can put this over my body and also my bug out bag at the same time to keep me and my bug out bag dry. I can use it as a tarp to sit up and do some field hygienic, or to stay dry off the wet ground. And you can use it for other things like collecting rainwater if you need so. But this is an all-round thing, so it's a rain jacket, so a tarp at the same time. You can use it as an improvised shelter. So yeah, it just it can also be used with in accordance with a great kilt as a sleeping bag. So yeah, that's just a small thing you can do. All right, let's go into this. So these things I have put it, to be honest, outside of my bug bag because when I go on a bug I usually don't put this inside of it because if I get stopped by the police, I could be in some troubles, or when it gets stolen, I lose a lot of money. As you can see, this is an air gun. And why would you take this for a bug out? I would say, first of all, if you're going on a long bug out, you do not know, you have only a certain amount of food, and your money will probably run out at a certain point. So on the way you can hunt small games like birds or small rodents with this, and it's very It's powerful to take one of those down. It's easy to get handle. It's one of those break up pump guns that is very mechanical, reliable. So that's also what I like, and not what I don't like are those tubes that you can put some gas cylinders inside of it, because so many mechanical parts can fail, and this all has never failed me before. And I use an air gun and not a real gun because, first of all, if you get stopped, you will get in bigger trouble if you get stopped with a real gun than with an air gun by police or military, because if a military finds you with a real gun, they will think that you're a rebel or or a spy or somebody with bad intentions, and you have 500 of these Diablos that you can fire with it. So you have a lot of ammo, and you can take a lot of smaller game with this for very lightweight. So that's a reason why I like to put this here inside of it. Next thing is my little bag with gold plates. I have a whole bag of these gold plates. So in case that the money is so devaluated that you only can pay with this in emergency, and you have a little bit of capital with you that you can hide if you're going to a new location or country, or emigrate to somewhere, or as a refugee, it's always handy to have some gold, which is a universal kind of paying substitute. And of course, my chips. Why? These chips are, I have pictures and photos of all my official documents, my identity, bank accounts, insurance papers, my deeds of my house and other properties that I have here. So it's very handy to have those documentation, because the paper documentation could get destroyed, stolen, or burnt, or in a way. So yeah, or it's too big to take it with it. I always have everything on a chip to be ready to to use as identification when needed. So yeah. Oh. And now we're going to the next stuff. Next stuff is, yeah, always woolen socks, so you can change your socks so you don't have blisters. And yeah, to prevent some things like trench foot, I always use long woolen socks because it will also keep my legs warm, and it will prevent animals like ticks, insects like ticks or mosquitoes that will take, or some leeches that will get in on top of my leg or my feet. So that's more handier for it. And wool, very durable. Yet again, I always trust in wool. The same thing goes for a balaclava. As you can see, this thing is also made out of wool, and it's just like a face mask. The thing is, if you're going to sleep somewhere where it's very cold, your face will usually be open, and with this you can breathe very easily. Still see when you're in your, like with the trench coat or with the woolen great kilt, when you sleep inside of that, your face will also be warm. If you're going to walk during a long bug out, your face will also be very warm and will retain your body heat that you will very need. And if you're stepping like this and you see there will be police or a military checkpoint, you can just do it like this. And now you just have a regular hat, so people will not be that suspicious and will bet an eye onto you. So that's also something to keep you as a gray man. If they see you have a bivak mask, balaclava like that, they will spot you more as a survivor than with just a regular hat. Yeah, of course, shamak. I made a video about this already. There are 50 survival uses of this shamak, and you can use it as a towel, extra carrying weight, as something to carry extra materials or food with it. So yeah, those things. Always have a shamak with you. Right, let's go further. I always carry a water filter. This is one of those Canada Rohike pump filters. As you can see, these help me a lot. Try to keep up to date with how long that you have used it, so you can put a how do you say it, an next new cartridge inside of it, so you can filter water for a very long time. This filter a lot of water, and you can put it in streams that are very deep, that is not really easy accessible. So yeah, I like to use this one. It's helped me a lot through every hike. Next thing is this copper pot. Why a copper pot? I know this will be a little bit heavier, but in my opinion, a copper pot is very handy because first of all, if you really need to trade it with something, this will be more valuable than just a regular metal pot. It can take a lot more. It's made out of copper, so if you're going to sleep somewhere as a shelter or for a longer time, you can put water inside of it, and copper kills pathogens like viruses and bacteria. So that way you have something to wash your hand clean. The next day you will have clean water to wash your hands inside of it, or your face or something else. So I would say that way not filter something that you will use for drinking or cooking, but that way you can have extra clean water with it. And the next thing is, of course, you can cook a big meal inside of it, especially if you're with other people or you want to make something big like soup or something with the means that you got, like you find, or you can put plant food inside of it and close it off with some wire and cook it the next time you want to use the food and the edible plants that you find on your way. So that way you have an extra carrying capacity to keep wild plants inside of it, and it will clean, how to say this, it will disinfect most of it. If you can see, I put my bag of oatmeal inside of it, because oatmeal is, in my opinion, one of the best survival foods that you can take in your bug out bag. I made a video about this. So a copper pot is very handy, a little bit heavier, but it is more multifunctional than just a regular metal pot, in my opinion. Talking about which, this is one of those metal mugs, just something to keep you to drink some coffee or some tea on the way. And like I said, if you put oatmeal inside of it with water, mix it, you can just eat a very quick meal during your bug out. If you have no time to make a fire or stop, just put some clean water in it, oatmeal, eat it, and it's long enough for my finger to get totally inside of it, so I can take every last bit of the oatmeal and eat it, and it will be easier to clean, and none of the oatmeal will be wasted. And in this case, I also put some rice, a jar of rice inside of it. So yeah, that way there is no space wasted, and I have some extra food. So I already have a bag of oatmeal, a jar of rice. Now we're going to the next thing. This is the first aid kit. First aid kit is very important. As you can see, I can directly open it and I have access to everything. Just the regular things, water purification tablets, emergency bandages, tourniquet for in case there is a heavy bleeding because of a certain, perhaps, altercation with other survivors. Of course, and Israeli bandages. What I like about the Israeli bandages is if you cook it and dry it, cook it in boiling it in water and dry it again, you can reuse it again and again. So it's a reusable bandage in that way, and just some tape, emergency blanket, and some other small medical stuff. It's just the basic of the basic, to be honest, because I'm planning to do as much. I'm about to try to learn more medicinal plants and herbs, so that way I hope to preserve some space and weight by using it that way, in hope to save on space in my bug bag. So yeah, that's another way. Another reason, that is my light bug bag inside of the big bug bag. Why? If you're going to stay somewhere for a small time or build shelter and you want to gather firewood or hunt some small game, then it's perhaps too dangerous to keep your bug bag, the most part of your bug bag somewhere hidden that somebody perhaps can steal it or get robbed. And another thing is, if you're going hunting or these or that, you have a big weight on your back, and you will not be able to run away from danger, from robbers, or you will be have a bigger profile, so you will be seen more, and you will be not as quick as possible to hunt. So that's the reason why I like this. I always can put this around me. I am very light, nimble now. I can crawl, I can sneak. I'm more stealthy and lightweight to hunt more with my air gun. So yeah, that's the reason why. And if you have to ditch your big out bag, you have at least have your ultra light big out bag. I made a video about this, and yeah, you can take it out, put it around you with your big bug out bag, and you have more space in your big bug out bag to put other stuff that you might find on the way. So what do I have here? As you can see, first of all, a small water filter, and this is one of those life straws, but it has screws beneath it, so you can screw a plastic bag beneath it so you can squeeze. So it's not only that you have to drink, but you can squeeze it with the bag it through, and that way you have more second water filter next to the Catalin Pro Hike that I carry. So I always like to have two options in drinking water, because drinking water is one of the most important things in your bug out bag. So yeah, drinking water. Of course, my survival knife, it's a Glock. It's in my opinion one of the best survival knives. As you can see, there is some nylon wire beneath it. I taped whetstone around it so I can always sharpen it whenever I want. It has a saw around. It has some saw around it, and it's a good material. This is one of the best knives that I ever had. I used it so much, and it never failed me. And yeah, it's also a good self-defense tool, and it's a multifunctional. So yeah, we're going to the next thing. Let's open this one first. First of all, some electrical tape to do some repairs, always handy. And it is more of the fire kit. So I prefer to have multiple ways to make fire. Of course, this will run out, but this will give me fire for a very, very long time. So as you can see, a box of matches. These are 100 matches, so I hope to get at least 70 times fire out of this. I will show you in a minute how I would make a fire start without losing too much matches. Of course, a lighter with some extra tape around it, a lighter, and even if the lighter is out, I can use the how do you say this, the firestone within it to, the flint is the word, to make another fire with in an improvised way. So that's something that you can do. And of course some ferro steel just to make a fire, with the magnesium, and with the ferro with a ferro to make a spark. So yeah, at least have one or two ways to make a fire. In this case, I have 3 ways to make fire, 4 if you count in the improvised way. Of course, some extra small pair of matches. So that's actually more matches than I thought I had. So that's the reason why we review our bug bags, to see what's inside of it, that we don't forget something or that we already have. Of course, something I will show you within a minute, to read a map. I always like to use these compasses so I can also calculate distance and time on the paper maps that I have. You know what? I'm going to take them out. I always carry paper maps. Why? Because I do not trust something like a electrical GPS where the batteries can run out, where it can get broken by cold or by dropping it. And paper maps are just, yeah, it's a skill that you need to have in case your smartphone or your GPS fails you, or that they're broken by another reason. So yeah, I prefer to trust on these maps. I got 2 maps. I got a map of the whole country, and I got maps of more, or how do you say this, geographical maps, where I can see the in more closer areas the natural resources like water, forest, and the villages. So yeah, that's also handy to have two kind of maps, a big map, I would say, about the whole country, and a smaller map, more detailed about the geographical, topographical maps. So yeah, let's see what's in the smaller one. I always have soap with glycerin with me. Why? It's not only to wash my body, but because it has glycerin, it can also be used to wash your clothing. So with this bar of soap, and I prefer a bar of soap instead of those liquid soaps, because uh, this will last much longer, and it can also be used to wash clothing when you get dirty on the way. So that's also a very multifunctional and handy thing. How much time do I have? I think I will make it if I'm fast enough. Of course, my trusty multi-tool, in this case, Letterman. We all know the multi-tool can be used for a variety of tasks. You can also put in a Swiss Army knife if you like, but yeah, in this case, I have a Letterman multi-tool. It's always handy. And now we have the plastic bag that I talked about that can fit on the filter. So yeah, and now we have here some candles, tea light candles to be precise. So why tea light candles? I have now hundreds of hours of candlelight, and why? To use with my Yuko candle holder, as you can see. Why do I have this? Why not a flashlight? One would say, because these can be used for multiple things. First of all, instead of carrying a solar panel or something else to recharge your batteries that you probably need with a flashlight, I can have hundreds of hours of candlelight with this that I can put inside of it. There's also some candles inside of this to save some space. Another reason why I like to do this is not only the light that you can use it to walking around, but you can use it in a stationary setting without putting anything on fire if you're in an abandoned building, and you can take it out, refresh it without the risk of burning your hands. So that's more safer than most candles, I would say. Another thing, if I'm going to build a campfire, I'm going to use one match to light a candle in the candle holder, and that way I have multiple tries to put on the Kindle to put the Kindle on fire without the risk of using more matches than I need because of wind, damp, mist, or whatever reason a match can go out. So yeah, and also a thing that I like is if you put the candles on, you can put your mug. If you perhaps can see, I can put a mug on top of it, and my coffee, my cocoa, or my tea will stay warm that way. Or if you put it long enough, it will cook, even boil it if you put it long enough. So that's also a reason why I like the Yuko candle holder. Yeah, we're going to now to the actual little flashlight. As you can see, this is one of those emergency radios. So I just did an emergency radio. This is one of the few electrical things that I have in my bug bag. Why? Because yeah, I'm more a mechanical guy, and I find it more trustworthy to use mechanical things. But this is more handy. I find it worth to put it in because it has solar panel, a radio antenna. I can get radio stations from all the countries around Belgium, even Spain once. So it has a flashlight. It has a big flashlight. It has a crank, so you can recharge it. You can even recharge some flashlights that you have, or some your cell phone or something else, small electrical devices. It has a light sensor, so if somebody walks in front of it, it will spring. The light will spring on, so it's a kind of alarm system. And yeah, I would say it's very important to stay up to date with information, so you know how bad is the situation, where can I go, where are the refugee camps, what is the situation, what are the dangers that I need to watch out for, what is a safe road, is a bridge collapsed. So those things are very handy to get in, because information is power. So uh, emergency radio is one of the few electrical things that I would trust to put in my backup bag. So now we're going to the last thing, and this is actually more of an optional thing in my opinion. Oh, and one more thing I've forgotten to say. If you're going to, the reason why I prefer to use tea light candles as a source of light is because if you're on a very long bug out, we all know people, if you ask help to people, you cannot ask too much. So, but most people have some tea lights, so if you ask for tea lights, there is a bigger chance that you will get these as a way of help from other people than something like batteries or some fuel or something else to that you can ask. So tea light candles are one of those things that people always have in their house and are more willing to give you if you ask for help. So yeah, that's also the reason why I like this Luco candle holder, tea light candle holder by the way. And this is actually more the food bag. I like to put it in my. This is also the thing that I can carry with my small bug out bag. So these are the two bags that I would carry if I have to ditch my big bug out bag, the food bit, and my ultralight bug out bag. It is in a protective canvas holding bag. So what's inside of it? This is actually for food for a very long time, at least for me, because with this I can be on the road for at least a month and still be getting my way. Even I should try this out one time, but yeah. First of all, honey, if you can perhaps see. This is a pot with Hakuna honey. It's one of the best honeys in the world, in my opinion. And honey is one of those things that is multifunctional. It's antibacterial. It has quick energy in sugar. It will never go bad in any situation. What you actually would need to watch out, because I once had a pot honey that the lid was a little bit bashed and the honey leaked out of it. So that's the reason why I put it in a plastic bag. So even when it gets dropped, the honey will not get anywhere. So honey is liquid gold in my opinion. I need to a little bit hurry because yeah, time is running out. And of course, I have 4 of these emergency rations. So this contains all the calories, 2,300 calories for each box. So that's for me. With one of these boxes, I can hike in a wild, how do you say this, in difficult terrain for at least 4 days with my bagouts. I've tested this out. So with 4 of these boxes that I have here in it, I can do at least 16 days. So yeah, it will be very easy for me that way to be well fed, and you can give it to other. If somebody asks for help or for food, you have something very easy to give them, especially if they're small children. If somebody has a small infant, you can crumble it to a powder. You can mix it with water, and you can feed a small child or infant with it. That way, of course, a whole package of rice. This is much rice, so that's also the reason why it's in a bag, in another bag, because this is just food. It will run out eventually, and this whole bag will be empty after a month. It will probably be empty space that I can fill with other things. So yeah, a whole bucket of not really a bucket, but it's a fairly amount of rice. Next thing, whiskey. Why whiskey? Why so much whiskey? Because first of all, I like whiskey. It's a good bonding tool if you meet other survivors, or if you want to trade or to barter it. It's also very handy, and it can be used. I made a video about this, about the survival uses of whiskeys. You can disinfect tools, especially medical tools, and you can use it as a disinfectant if you have a wound. So it's multifunctional and it's tasty at the same time. Next thing, I have a few small jars. These contain several things. These are just spices, herbs, salt, sugar, and spices. So if you find food that it will not taste bland, of course salt. If you sweat a lot, and to make food more tasty, I always carry at least this amount of salt, which could be very handy. Like I said, if you sweat a lot, and you can put some whiskey, you can put some salt, some honey, mix it with water, and then you have a sort of energy drink that will give you calories, that will give you the sugar that you need for your blood sugar, and also some how do you say this? Some moral. It will put on some moral and also it will fill in some the salts that you lose by sweating too much, especially during the summertime. So yeah, that way you can make your own energy drink in the field. Uh, some milk powder to put with oatmeal, so that's also very handy. Or if you want to make some other dish with some extra calories with the milk powder and it will stay dry. It is a lemonade powder, so if you want some quick sugar, I would say this is lemonade powder. With this small amount I can at least make 20 liters of lemonade. So yeah, that will take last for a very long time. I'm just hurry because time is running out. And another bag of oatmeal because it has a lot of calories, it is easy to prepare, you don't even really need a fire, and this will, I with this 500 grams, so I with the other packet I have now 1 kilo of oatmeal, and it can carry me a very long time, especially with the rice and with the other stuff that I have. So yeah, that is my review of my bug out bag for very long and durable dugouts. So that is the reason so some people will not really agree with the things that I said on this, but that is specially designed for durability. So that you can reach your bugout location wherever it is if you don't have one, or if it's very far away, or the process to be taken up by another country as a refugee can take many years. So an example is here in Belgium. If you go to Brussels, you see a lot of people who are refugees camping in the parks for even for sometimes months, years, because they need to wait on their immigration and the refugee process, and that can take, like I said, months or even years. And in that time you want stuff that you can rely on, that will not break after just a few weeks, stuff that will guarantee to get with you for a lifetime, I would say. So yeah, so I hope you learned something about this video. If you have any other ideas that I can put inside of this, please let me know. I'm always eager to learn, and if in case I forgot something or something that I did not realize, that's also the reason why I put out these videos. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Look in the description for my book. So thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Cheers!